Onward, Sons of Nilfgaard. It is John Calvate versus Dagon matchup. We have Soldiers versus Sabbath. So this is the matchup Azakov wants. Like this is his this is his win. Like if he manages to cue the deck into this, it's a pretty likely win for him, especially having the likes of Imler Sabbath in his opening hand. What answers does Freddy have for Sabbath?
It's interesting. We didn't really
offensive Vilgefortz, that's it.
We also didn't really talk about. There's a lot of there's some thought into putting Blood Moon on the row as well, knowing that Slave Infantries are always going to be jumping into it. If you wanted to maybe, Vanamar can only solve one problem here, and Dagon is going to at least create one of his own on top of the hazards that the Sirens can drop as well. Freddy is running a decoy, so there are options, but it's. I take that back. He's not running a decoy, in fact. So it's really just one option. So if Azakov honestly thinks that in a long enough round, he's going to get value out of the Blood Moon, knowing that units are going to be dropping in there all the time. Also being able to control where things are going to go on the rows. He does have Frightener as well to help play into that. Plus Maruna definitely cares what is where. I'm just curious to see if Blood Moon makes an appearance in this matchup, but not necessary, as Azakov's hand is pretty strong. He's got 3 of his golds, which actually does make World Decree a dead draw later. So let's be careful about that. Let's try not to predict the future and see that being a terrible top deck.
I'm going to be completely honest here. Azakov doesn't have a great hand. He has a game-winning hand. It's as simple as this. He has Imlerless Sabbath with Adrenaline Rush.
Like, is this a good hand? No.
That's it. Like, in this matchup, that's it. Like, the only thing you fear is an offensive Vilgefortz. That is the only answer Freddy has for this.
And that's, as far, I mean, we love competitive Gwent, but when things are the open pass here instead, which is interesting because Freddy's down for a long round of control here, but Azakov knows exactly how dangerous Imlerith is. However, if we're talking about how Freddy Babes does have an answer in Vilgefortz, although it's a tough play because you got to give your opponent an extra card at the same time, and Azakov's list without Sabbath is not, it's not completely neutered in that way. But if Azakov's giving Freddy an option to find solutions, as well as thin even just a little bit here.
I think the only reason Azakov thought about that is because he didn't want an offensive Vilgefortz to occur. So if offensive Vilgefortz does happen, at least he does get the...
I mean, no, not good. I mean, you might just confirm choice, I guess.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You drive past anyway, so
it's true, it's true. Now, I mean, and Freddy's...
he may just want to thin. He wants to thin. He wants to thin. Like, he needs to find Vilgefortz. Vilgefortz is the only thing that will save him.
I mean, if Azakov gets Adrenaline Rush onto Imlerith that's already grown after hitting like 2 or 3 times.
It's literally, it's actually GG.
That would probably be an escape enter situation. So we're going to have to see what the draws are. Vikovar Medic and Ointment. Ointment likely going to be one of those cards likely going to be the mulligan, as they don't have a lot of use right away. Sentry not. Vilgefortz. John Calvert and Cantarella do represent the possibility, but Azakov can get the work in at that point.
He mulliganed away the Mandrake there, the Monster's Nest there, guys. He does have Wisp's Tribute in his hand, which because he already has Mandrake, Parasite, and Adrenaline Rush. So I believe those are all of his alchemy cards. So I believe that's the case, which means that he had to mulligan. Well, no, he also has a Swallow Potion. No, he has it in hand as well. So yeah, he has all the alchemy cards. So he needs to mulligan Monster's Nest, so his Wispus is not bricked right there. As Vremdy lead, he's basically trying to search. Like, this may seem very odd, but basically Freddy's trying to go as high as he can.
Yeah, and this helps him, right?
To prevent, This
supports a tall board. I mean, though Sabbath is going to kill it right now anyway, so... Sabbath is just going
to fight like this. Yeah, he's in.
Our favorite gold card. Imlerith Sabbath is on the board. Once he's on the board, he can stay on the board. And it is just the most punishing engine in the game.
I think this is what Freddy has to do. He needs to thin. He needs to play Recruit into Slave Infantry. And then he may actually need to play... He needs to do everything he can to try to fish for Vilgefortz. If he plays Vilgefortz, even though he will go down a bunch of cards, he can then try to pressure for potentially a 2-0, or at least find a way to, get his card advantage back. But if he does not deal with this Imlerless Sabbath, it is over. So he needs to thin as much as he possibly can.
I mean, realistically, he can get there. I mean, the problem is that Atzikov already has an extra card, and Freddie Bays may have to give him an additional card. That's the real problem, because I think that through thinning,
does he find it?
Calvert,
There's
Cantarella,
Lambert. Okay, so that's, and he sent the slave infantry to the bottom of the deck, which means that he does not have to play recruit, because recruit will do nothing here. That's the problem. If he had played recruit first, he would have maybe had more of a chance to fish for it with Cantrell. Here's the adrenaline rush.
Here comes the adrenaline rush. This is going to ensure that Imlerith is going to be coming back with a vengeance, you might say.
Freddie needs Vilgefortz so bad here. If he does not find it, it is over.
Well, Freddie is in control of the round. Now, obviously, Imlerith unanswered is a threat in round 2 and in round 3, but Freddie can try to tap Atzikov out of all the... The thing is, you give an extra card. This is the thing, right? Vilgefortz gives him an extra card. The extra card activates Maruna. And that's just backbreaking at the same time.
Yeah, but Maruna is not the most powerful card in this matchup because of the nature of the soldier deck, which spreads the strength throughout the entire board. Maruna, even if she goes unanswered, I think it's definitely fine. He's moving over the recruit, but the recruit doesn't make a difference here because he did send the slave infantry to the bottom of his deck. He's going for him, and he's thinning. This man is thinning.
I mean, in my defense, I was talking about 2 extra cards on top of the Maruna effect.
The Mardrim, okay.
Okay, just a little bit.
We're going to see a Mandrake here.
Yeah, you got to get...
Mandrake onto the Imler Sabbath here.
Do everything you can do. It's shaky right now.
This commits the Mandrake to the Sabbath, though. Like, this makes the Vilgefortz even stronger if he does manage to pull it. Oh, man, he needs it. Like, the thing is, you may think, well, he could preserve Vilgefortz for round 3, but the problem is, I don't think he can win this round if he doesn't Vilgefortz. Like, it's just not possible. This is a reason why, some people really dislike this card. It is perhaps the most binary card in Gwent right now, and we are seeing, why right here.
I mean, what better for a send-off in Gwent than to be celebrating the cards that we are happy to see go? Perhaps you might say something like that.
That's a good way to put it.
It's not even just a comment on Imlerith as a card. It's more about binary. I think that's going to be. It's going to be a little softer. It's going to be a little softer in the future
much. I think softer
this is
an understatement.
Diamond hard right here.
That's going to be the biggest change with Gwent. These sort of binary scenarios are not going to be nearly as prevalent. Like, there's no comparison, and that's something that is going to make Homecoming really great, in my opinion. As we see no Vilgefortz.
Oh, the Calvet. Now
no victory for you.
He took a look with Cantarella. He tried again with Calvet. 6 cards left in the deck, and one of them is Vilgefortz.
There
was no more thinning that could be done here. It's really hard to. I mean. Mogwai, how do you feel about casting Imlerith Sabbath? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, this is just...
Lining up a nice row for Blood Moon. I mean, the thing is, Sabbath is getting a lot of work done, but Atzikov also had some favorable situations with the weather, which he hasn't even played yet. He hasn't even played Dagon yet. Now Sabbath is in the driver's seat, so we might see Dagon come down here, or maybe he wants to proc those werewolves. Maybe thinning is more important here because the weather is super important in a future round, if a future round occurs.
Honestly, you can just... I mean, obviously, like, the thing is, Freddie does have round 1 under his belt, right? So,
yeah.
While he's not getting his card advantage back by any means, at least he's not going to get 2-0'd.
He's not going to get 2-0'd, and if he's able to lead off with... The thing is, Imlerith stays at 8 in the carryover because of the Mandrake. Better than getting boosted up without getting Mardrummed first. But in this situation, I don't think Freddie Babes can set up an initial play that can actually compete with Imlerith if Imlerith remains on the board. Freddie Babes has to try for a 2-0 because Imlerith can only take out 1 target at a time, and Soldiers is all about multiple units. So is there a saving grace here? I mean, it's the Blood Moon that really concerns me, I think, because he's going to get... That's at least a 12-point Blood Moon on top of this, plus the immune units dropping as well. Plus Maruna with the extra card potentially.
There's no way it's happening here. Even with double sentry, I just don't think it's possible. Especially with this residual weather effect happening proactively for Atzikov and reactively against Freddie, like on 4 points each turn, plus the death of the highest unit every single time. 13 armor on Imlerith Sabbath. He could take on... I don't know, man. He could take on the White Frost itself, and he would win at this point. Like he's unstoppable, son. This just feels bad, man.
I mean,
This just feels bad.
it's just like there's just no way to really get I mean, none of these units are going to be strong enough at this point. Especially considering Arzakov has like full control over buffing Imlerith as well as or parasiting something down that if it gets scary at all.
Buffing the Foglet right there, just just playing cards. Arzakov has to play cards. Preferably his least valuable cards.
There's the pass.
And now can Freddy,
Because if he draws into it, if he draws into it or mulligans into it, we're not done yet.
No.
But it's
Definitely.
still, it's not favored, right?
No, it's not. I mean, we're talking about a situation in which he has card advantage and carryover. So,
Couldn't get there.
there's no Vogafort, so.
Yeah, at least the turns are speeding up.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but I think Arzakov wins.
I wouldn't say we were ahead of ourselves at this point. I think we were arriving.
I'm being sarcastic, dude. Goddamn.
We're definitely arriving.
Yeah, okay, this is a wrap. This is over. This was over like a while ago.
Well, I mean, the Parasite's really good here. The Mandrake was already used, so tribute. I mean, I honestly feel like in a lot of cases the damage has been done, because look at Freddy's hand. I mean, what is he really able to do? Even if Imlerith is solved here, it's not like he has the board swarmed and sentries are dropping.
He's not buffing. Wait, he's not. Why is he not buffing? Wait, what? Wait, what?
Wants to give. Well, he does. Imlerith lives this way.
Okay.
So maybe just trying to. I mean, the Parasite. There may be a target that he's worried about. He needs to remove. He maybe.
I mean, he's playing around Vilgefortz, right? Like he doesn't want to give him the Vilgefortz value, basically. That makes sense because he doesn't know. Like for a second, I didn't realize he doesn't know that he doesn't have Vilgefortz. So he's basically not overcommitting onto the Sabbath because that's like the only chance Freddy has at the same time, like getting a big swing with Vilgefortz and making him draw like a poor value bronze.
Yes. What is it?
They're putting the ointments back in the deck. We know that Triss is going to be creating an ointment anyway.
You go with a proactive Parasite here. Like sorry, a reactive one. Like you want to kill that because you don't want to invest into that. Like there's absolutely no need to do it. You're so far up ahead.
I mean,
and I
Freddy
guess
may not actually end
here.
this game with any points on the board, my way. All for Arzakov.
Maruna's gonna have nothing to.
Yeah, Maruna's not gonna have anything to steal.
No, she will, because we're gonna see
Drowner, maybe?
whispers. Yeah, whispers into Monster's Nest. Into
Just
Drowner.
to make sure it's an absolutely perfect, flawless victory fatality.
I sense strong now.
well then.
Just look at Frey, such a friendly guy.
Yeah, I mean,
helping him out.
Considering what's occurring, he's taking it very well. It's going to create the Foglet. They were talking about this in the previous game where Freddy could have created a Foglet and still won, so Arzakov just decided to make that come true.
Yeah, right there.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's a sad Maruna.
We saw 3 rounds go to completion in that game, Mogwai. I mean,
yeah, that was interesting.
I actually would have loved to have seen what would have happened if Vilgefortz was found, because I still think that would have put Freddy in it would have been really hard still to take out Arzakov being down cards like that, but we didn't even get that much. The thing is, everybody, rejoice. That's the last time you're going to see Imlerith Sabbath in a pro game in this form.
Goodbye, Imlerith Sabbath. It was nice
Dagon has
knowing
won.
you.
Dagon is not going to come back. In more ways than one, you might be able to say. But in this situation here, Arzakov got a win with the deck, with the matchup that he wanted, in the way that he wanted to do it, complete and utter dominance. Now Arzakov's got to close the door here with Alchemy and Spellitel, which I still think is a great choice. It's a really interesting list that he brought there instead of going for Shoop or Northern Realms, actually. Not taking Northern Realms.
This is big, though, because he got the Q that he wanted. Like, this is really, really solid for Arzakov, as that was the one matchup in which it was favored, as against Kraken, Crate, and Dagon, it actually was a very, very bad matchup for him. So the fact that he was able to get a victory for Dagon is really solid for Arzakov, because even though he's gotten the first win here, his overall matchup in this series, I believe, is rather inferior.
Still rough, yeah. He's still got to deal with these weather lineups. He's still got to play Vipers.
Yeah, but now the Soldiers.
Yeah,
the Soldiers has a good matchup against Alchemy, and honestly, like, I'm not sure how it does against. I'm pretty sure it has a good matchup against Ethne as well. I don't think Freddy will struggle getting the victory with you know, with a glorious empire here, but we'll see.
Yep, Freddy is favored against Nilfgaard, and Nilfgaard in the lineup here, but definitely feels a little softer than the consume targeting that Azakov was bringing on the other side.
Go.
So I also just want to reiterate again, as Challenger 4 was a story of greed, this is a story of targeting in Gwent Open number 7. Freddy Babes being sure not to bring the list that people might be targeting specifically, instead going to target Nilfgaard, which is really hard to do. Double gold weather in the hand of Freddy.
It's really solid there for Freddy.
Would have wanted the Alchemy matchup a bit more, but he'll take any win, I'm pretty sure, as he's got to go up against...
Ripple Harpooner's super good, too.
The choice that Azakov decided to make to counter-consume put him with the Spellitel list that runs the artifact compression, of course, which is crucial against stopping Neckers in the consume game plan, especially if you're able to shut it down early and stop the combo. But, of course, taking this instead of Northern Realms was still a pretty big choice here, but I like it.
Well, there's one very important thing to note here in regards to the matchup. Freddy, like, not only does this Spelltail list have no weather clear whatsoever, so no way to deal with double gold weather, it also does not run Yavin. It has no Silver Spy, so this changes the way Freddy approaches the game quite a lot, because he doesn't really need to dry pass here, I believe. I think he can just push. He has the Silver Spy, and he could just play into this round because he's not threatened by a Yavin from his opponent, which is very important. And also because we know Azakov is running triple Macamail, he is encouraged to play his units on all 3 rows, which makes him even more vulnerable to that as he goes for an Alpha double cross onto the Farseer in the Siege row. And there's the pass from Freddy.
You know, I like the play here with the Dim Pirate and the Dim Pirate Captain. It's not. It's the first time we've seen that opening combo, at least in the games that we've casted Mogwai. But it's just a really great fitting play when you have none of the pirates in hand. Also, he knew that was going to be higher than the Alzur's double cross on the Farseer, which was highly likely to be Azakov's first play.
In case people are wondering why he's playing Garrison, he's doing so for the Skellige Greatswords matchup. You can play Garrison and you can take create basically one of a Skellige unit, so that then you have a target for Aeglace. In case you're not running Mandrake, so you play Aeglace and then you can use their Restore, and you do have a target for Restore, as Restore is limited to Skellige only units. That's why Azakov is playing Garrison in this list. Considering the matchup though, it's not really relevant at all, so you have to get rid of it here as Azakov takes the first round, Freddy with an early pass and a rather promising hand, I think. He has access to his spy, he has double gold weather, he can push it. He got rid of one engine. The engines are the biggest problem for Freddy, so getting rid of one of the Farseers there is really good for him, especially having thinned his deck out of the Dim Pirates.
And we haven't seen a lot of the Ornamental Sword, which is an interesting choice from Freddy Babes because it is unlike Vreemd, who is looking for sentries and looking for maybe an Alba Armored Cavalry or Slave Infantry, of course. You're not looking for anything really specific. You're more looking for a nice, strong unit, perhaps for Sigdrifa to get extra value on, because outside of between the Corsairs and all of the machines coming in, Sigdrifa just having a little extra power on the res, being able to get a double up on a stronger effect, or perhaps even creating a Dimoon Pirate without the Pirate Captain to thin out the other 3. There's a couple of options there, but we haven't really seen it be critical. So I am interested to see, once again, what's behind the door, the create door here of the Ornamental Sword, and if it's going to really matter with Sigdrifa.
Isengrim Outlaw into Marching Orders,
into
the Elven Mercenary with a Magam Ale here. Really high tempo play, but also completely playing into the Karathi Heatwave here.
I do like the flavor of it being a hot day and trying to cool down with a refreshing beer. I do like that flavor there.
What?
Stunned. You're stunned.
All right, so we see. Okay, so he has the option of going for Mandrake here. Like, he could erase the Farseer, but then he loses the Mandrake for the Dull Blast and a Sentry. So, all right, he's gonna opt to he really doesn't want to deal with the engines, it seems.
I mean, it just makes it more and more favorable for Freddy at this point.
This will set it to 2, and then the Karathi Heatwave will pick it off before it can get buffed again. So he's managed to deal with 2 Farseers. Azakov does have access to 1 more potentially, but he's going to opt to go for the Sage now and thin, sorry, not thin, just go for the Macamail here. Just purely trying to out-tempo Freddy here and trying to combat the weather.
He's trying to stay hydrated on this day here. That's the last one I'm going to say. It's good. It looks good. But Freddy Babe's here now. It's interesting because to get the full value of Heat Wave, you want to make sure you always have 3 units on the board. The Whaler's not really. I mean, the Whaler's, you get the value by moving it onto any row with a unit. But if Adzikov keeps this, because he has so many special cards now, he doesn't have to play a lot of units. The Whalers, strangely enough, are not as strong as they could be against a list that's much more swarmy or has a bit more control over the rows or reasons to push people off of the row. Like Burn a Brand not in the hand right now, as the Warship's going to be coming down with Croc on Crate. It's going to be a nice beefy resurrection for a Corsair later. Elven Mercenary will be able to grab another drink for everybody here as the Sage has been able to copy up. So we still see lots of Mahaka Mail still available for Adzikov as he continues to fight against the Golden Weather, knowing full well he's going to have to probably do it twice, as he is in control of this round.
Down goes Scout onto Ulderic. Picking up Restore, dropping the Pirate Captain onto the graveyard. Really good
exactly
stuff
what
for
you want to
Freddy
restore
here.
in the first place, right?
Yeah.
It's all going to piece together. Restore into the Pirate Captain,
that's
into the
sweet
Corsair,
for him.
into the 9-strength Warship is going to be a titanic play. Croc ensuring that you're going to get that extra boost on a machine, either the Whaler or the ship. Actually, I think in this situation, the ship, in a shorter round, depending on how far Adzikov wants to push this, he doesn't want to have a long round because he wants to make sure that the Weather, Burn a Brand, Ragnarok, these cards are not going to get as much value. But in a short round, that Restore on the Pirate Captain, Corsair into the Warship is going to be brutal. Also, we haven't even seen the Ornamental Sword Sigdrifa play, potentially.
Down goes the Last Wish here. You don't really want to play your sentries because you want, but at the same time you can't really afford to go for a Thunder. You do want some tempo on your side. I don't know. This is tough.
It's your short round solution to
tough.
borderline win. It's your win condition and short round solution.
I guess you can go by with 2 of them though. Like that's what Adzikov needs to do is exactly as you said. Like he needs to have a short round against Freddy. The problem is this Ulderic. Like right now, Freddy has a 2-card advantage over him and. He's quite far behind though. Like he needs to start making some tempo plays, and I mean it's also like people may be wondering why Adzikov played into the 3 rows immediately. It doesn't really make a difference because Freddy Babes has it's actually good because Freddy Babes has Will Harpooners in his deck, so he can force him into those rows anyways.
Take that T strategy, 1 row, which makes the the 1 row leaving 2 units on the other row, which the Whalers don't want to move necessarily. And then, of course, you can block up the row, and then the Whalers can't move anything at that point. There's not a lot of units in Adzikov's deck. I also believe there are 2 Thunders in Adzikov's list, and I don't think taking that Thunder would have bricked a Thleen. I was just thinking that might have been a consideration, but I do not believe Adzikov had played or drawn a Thunder previously. So,
that's true.
It's possible that he just wanted to reduce the chances of a very, very unfortunate draw of double Thunder or something like that. But I'm just thinking that there could have been one thing on his mind there as he opted to not play that Thunder. Here comes Ithlin now.
Here it comes. It's what he needs to do. He needs to out-tempo. He needs to just get a monstrous lead over Freddy and make up for all the passive damage he's taking here. I
mean, the other thing is that he just lost his engine, so the Dolbothana Sentry is an engine on the board on top of that. So, I mean, fighting against passive point generation, I mean, the Ales, what's been going on with the Mercenaries, gaining 12, losing 6. Gaining 12, losing 6. You need to have just a little bit here, and now 30 points ahead. Adzikov is still able to potentially push. Depends. I mean, the rest of his cards in his hand are power plays. Freddy Babes needs to find a way to get. He's got the extra card, of course. He has Ulderic at this point.
Sword here? Because the thing is, you don't want to be forced to play. You can't go double Warship though. That's the thing. Double Warship is not enough to do this. If Adzikov were to pass.
I feel like a pass could be on the menu here.
Bad at math? Yeah, it is.
It's a heavy amount of points to push here.
I'm bad at math. It is enough.
But it's also, but the thing is, it's also the problem is that you enable Ragnarok if you pass. But how do you not? How do you like? Unless you're going for a 2-0, you have to be going for a 2-0. But even in that case, he just enabled the Corsair by killing the 9-strength Warship.
No, he wants to get a good enough pass to retain his card advantage and try to muscle him anyways. It's
that's what I'm saying. His cards are so good. What do you spend here?
I mean, you have to keep on pushing here, though. I think
it's a tough decision, and I think Adzikov is taking his time because this one's a tough decision.
Yeah, this is not clear here. I mean, I think you got to push a little bit more, though. I think you gotta try just a little bit more. Can he afford
10
to, though?
seconds for potentially a game-deciding decision
Can
here
you-
from
you can't-
Adjikov.
okay,
He's
he's
going to
going
go
out,
for
he's
the
going
pass. The thing is, he performed quite well in the face of the heat wave, so perhaps he thinks he can perform quite well in the face of Ragnarok. But the thing is, Freddy can do this in
Warship
Yes.
easily. Warship does
Worship plus the ticks.
it. Yeah, well, Warship plus the Karath, the heat wave, the drought.
Yeah, one card is doing it in one card here right now is massively important.
I would hold on to Ornamental Sword here and just drop the Warship. I think it's
Well,
okay.
then again, if the spice of Sigdrifa relies on an extra strong soldier to res, you may just want to see. I mean,
That's true.
is this not a risk though? Oh,
Blue boy.
wants
Wait,
to-
wait.
I mean, do we want to do this in style or? Now this is
I
a
don't
great.
think you can afford to Blue boy though, which is funny.
Was it just under? I mean, you give Adjikov the points as well.
Yeah, it's 6 points. I don't think. I think it was risky.
Realistically, you can actually get a lot of value out of that.
That would have been
later.
a funny res. Like that would have been actually a really solid card to res here with Sigdrifa, but he didn't have enough of a lead here.
Wait, we got to think about this Berserk a little bit more. What's going to happen to Freddy? What's going to happen to? Oh, you know what? No, I'm not going to finish that sentence actually. I put the weather on the other side there for a second. I thought how good the Berserker would be.
Okay,
the thing is, it's not that Freddy's not going to have any wounded units on the board. I flipped that around in my mind. I caught myself. We're good. We're still in there. There's that other Thunder just answering that question, but I think the answer really was just getting another engine on the board. Adjikov believing that.
Making it
there's
rain.
the Ragnarok right there.
Making it rain some meteors. It's still a long enough round for Ragnarok to get insane value here. Adjikov is in big trouble.
Extreme temperatures. It is a hot October. I will say that here in Warsaw. Extreme temperatures here on the board. Adjikov establishing an engine of some kind to get things started here. Nothing else is really that proactive. Freddy Babes does have the restore. He's just going to go ahead and just grab that 9-point warship right now. Because the thing is, you play into maybe the likelihood of this being the best Thunder target, so you're more likely to get it back into the graveyard, maybe to bring back with the Pirate Captain Corsair combo. Because that Thunder needs to find a home somewhere, and whatever it hits, it's going to kill. So unless the Thunder is being reserved specifically for the restored unit, which Adjikov doesn't have the cards to afford,
Yep.
then bringing back the warship now is the fair argument you can make here, as Freddy Babes is going to start getting that extra value on the weather here. No clears, no first light to grab for Triss on her side.
Oh, Adjikov is just playing.
Yeah, he's probably thinking that Ale is probably his best option. It's either Ale or Thunder or Recon, and he doesn't need the Recon because he has his 2 sentries already. Unless he wants to recon a Sage into the beer or something like that. But I mean, getting value out of the beer right now, out of the Bahaka Mail with Ethna, he's going to recon and go for this. Well, both of these do get you there. Making sure he's going to make the best choice out of the two of them. Merc does thin,
The storm is coming.
which means that if
Let's
Ethna
enjoy
plays
the
Last
ride.
Wish, now it's the sure thing. There's only 2 cards left in the deck, so Ethna is at 100% guarantee of getting whatever is needed here. Isengrim Outlaw, I don't believe was played yet. Other card that would be in there is it Nature's? No, he played Nature's Gift already. The Garrison that he mulliganed away is the other card.
Did he? No, he played Garrison here.
I thought he mulliganed away.
No, he played Garrison after Freddy had an early pass.
Okay. Well, then that last card is not 100% to me at this point.
Wait, let's see. Let's take a look at the graveyard here. What could that be?
Pretty sure it's Isengrim Outlaw is one of them. But Ethna being able to source that if he wants to, so he can create the Silver Elf, which can find Ida. Isengrim can find
Yeah,
Ida.
that's true. Isengrim can find Ida
That would
here.
change things.
That would be massive.
Quite a bit. When you don't have Ida in your deck, but you run Isengrim Outlaw,
That would be really good.
don't you always have Ida if you believe? Does Adjikov believe?
Oh boy.
Do you believe, Mogwai?
I mean, I don't believe in it's going to tell people, honestly.
Careful, Paul can hear you.
Humans have no place in
Come at me, Pablo.
This is going to be the marching orders, which is going to grab
Oh,
a sage.
okay.
I was way off. The sage was actually one of the cards in there. It's possible that I missed the play of Isengrim Outlaw, and this is on me, but it seems like the last wish would have been.
I honestly like. I mean, if we could have a look at his graveyard, we can see, but I don't.
Could be on me. Wouldn't be the first time. No graveyard access, and we see so many matches. It's not we're not infallible.
Askarov has a huge lead, though. He may just be ignoring this, this sort of like potential play and just try to out-tempo
I mean, it could just
Freddy.
be more value. Like Isengrim clearing the weather saves him. Well, I mean, it's hard to argue.
This is the thing.
Hard to argue with 18 points.
This is the thing that confuses me about that ornamental sword play. Like he could have. Like he could have played the warship and then had an extra target for. Freddy closing the gap though, and this Althor's Thunder.
He's got to be careful. He's
enabled it.
He's enabled. I mean,
oh wow, that's huge.
But it's either that or the Whaler, and I think that it's probably the same, if not equal. Like it's probably the same. If I'm sure that was the.
Well,
the better
that's more
choice
value
there.
though. That's definitely more value.
The Whaler would be able to do an extra ping
big.
of 4 there. I mean, it's the one extra point on the Whaler.
This restore is power. Oh, look at Azakov's face. Oh.
Yeah, he knows this is going to be a pretty rough ride here.
Yeah, he's probably thinking he should have Althor's Thundered the harpooner.
It was a difference of a couple points. There's the Corsair, so we know that pirate ship, that
gotta
warship's
take that
coming
warship back in.
Definitely. Yeah,
This
the boost on the boost from Croc made that the best possible target here. I don't think Aglace can get it done with Sigdrifa being able to replay almost. Oh, he's going to get the ornamental sword. Is there anything special here? Is there anything crazy here? I think
Judah is your best.
I think if you're going to try the ornamental sword, I feel like maybe that could have been an earlier shot, but I really don't know how. This was close. This is really close.
Not close enough for Azakov here. He is 12 points ahead, but this Sigdrifa is easily going to seal the deal for Freddy.
Really,
as
6
he
points
gets
ahead.
his win back. 8-point difference. Not, tighter than I expected, to be honest. But Freddy does get the win and evens up the score. We are 1 game for Azakov, 1 for Freddy. Azakov with his Dagon getting the win, and Freddy with Kraken Freight out of the way as well. It is Ethne and John Calvate versus Dagon and John Calvate. We may see some Nilfgaardian Civil War action here, actually.
Favorable in the situation of Freddy, since it is a favorable matchup, Soldiers versus Alchemy. But what about Soldiers versus Spellitel? How does that work?
I'm honestly not sure.
I don't know if I've ever played that matchup on either side in my time.
Freddy is running the
Gwent.
Mardrem. Like, that's important to know. Like, he is teching 1 Mardrem, which is actually huge because it counters 1 Sentry.
Counters 1 the Slave Infantry.
The Double Blast and a Sentry. Like, Freddy's running.
The Double Blast and a Sentry.
Yeah. Like, he's running 1 Mardrem, and he does have a Zir, which could potentially return it. He could recycle it as well. Like, Freddy does have options. Despite the proactive nature of the deck, thanks to Azir and the Mardrem tech, he actually has a way to deal with 2 of his Double Blast Sentries if that matchup were to happen. If the John Calvate deck runs into Azakov's John Calvate, then that's also an advantageous matchup for him, as Alchemy tends to struggle with Soldiers since Soldiers spreads out his... It's Nilfgaard versus Nilfgaard.
All right, Mogwai, I'm going to take a break. You can just take this one from here, my friend.
Oh, boy. Here we go, folks. Here we go. This is a very well-known matchup if you're, versed in the ladder, as these are 2 rather common decks, even though Alchemy is more popular, actually. But this is a matchup in which Soldiers prevail. As I was saying, Soldiers have a strategy of distributing the strength across the board in a Swarm style, right? And Alchemy, Nilfgaard.
Oh, no. Azakov, not good. Not good. You can see it in his face. I don't think. Oof, man. That's the 3rd time we've seen this tournament, Mogwai. The lead-in, we saw it earlier in this series, and we saw it definitely yesterday. So Azakov's going to go for
Freddy's
this
happy
then.
about that. That's for sure. Oh,
it's interesting. Alchemy Rose probably end up being the more popular because of how prevalent greatswords were in the meta. Soldiers rising to popularity because it actually plays very well you know, you have a great long round against greatswords, but also you have a good round against alchemy. Now, of course, soldiers has its own weaknesses, but it's just interesting how the meta has sort of, it's kind of just started to fold in on itself over and over again. Whatever is most popular is affecting these things, but I think that the more people started to play soldiers, the more they realize this deck is insanely good.
It is. It is vulnerable to a lot of matchups. Oh my, okay. Jeez. He
Oh
does
boy.
get another ointment there. He's able to chain these two Vicar of Arnomises and gonna get a nice and 12-point swing right there. Avoiding the Caesar for as long as he can. He did get one of the Machiavellians out of the way. This Van Himar is preventing full Machiavellian value, and now he's gonna capitalize on this Frost Row being set by playing Rainfarn, getting Roach out of the deck, and dropping Cantarella in the Caesar.
Reamed is a good pickup as well. You always want to see that early so you know what you're working with from your graveyard, you know what you're working with from power potential within the round as far as developing an engine like the Standard Bearer or the Armored Cavalry. Getting an extra Slave Infantry is obviously huge to know that ahead of time. And you want to see it earlier because it's probably better to look for a Slave Infantry than it is to look for a sentry later, especially when you're holding 2 sentries.
Now, Azrakov is running Sweers, so he could potentially target the Slave Infantry and take away power from Freddy's round here, as he wants to preserve those ointments for later, potentially. But it's important to note, I think he may have searched for it here.
Perhaps, yeah. Didn't find it.
He doesn't find it, he gets the Swallow Potion onto that. What's important to note, though, here, is that Azrakov does not run Vicar of Aromatic. So barring the likes of Azir, he has no way of disrupting the strategy. He does not find, he gets a bit unlucky there with the
That's pretty unlucky, right? There's two
yeah, it was a
in the deck.
33% chance for this to happen, and unfortunately it went that way. Azrakov hovering over his Mandrake here. Is he gonna go thick Calvate? He's going thick Calvate. Hashtag thick Calvate, boys. It's happening.
Yeah, we're finally going to see Cahir res and 11-point Calvate. I don't think we've seen that yet. We haven't seen Cahir get completely bricked at all, but we definitely have not seen the full combo, you might say. One of the most powerful tools that Alchemy has always been running, just because of how favorable it is to run something like Mandrake and in some situations Vesemir. Cahir comes and goes. It's interesting how Cahir influenced the meta just by existence, because on the ladder, sometimes you don't want to go for the Calvate Mandrake because it's low value. But of course, if Cahir is being shown that, or is like heavily in the meta, it's always a good choice. But if he's not, it forces you into a suboptimal play when you don't need to make it anyway. So it's really interesting just Cahir existing. On top of the idea we talked about, just Igni existing, how it influences so many decisions in this game.
Freddy's in a really comfortable position here. He's going to opt to go for Triss. He's kind of stuck there with the other 2 cards. But basically, we are witnessing how powerful Van Himar is in a Nilfgaard mirror matchup. Even though this is not an archetype mirror, it is a faction mirror. And if you're facing either soldiers or alchemy, if they do not run a weather clear themselves, which alchemy doesn't tend to do, Van Himar just puts in the pressure. And he's going to go for the Marjoram, actually, to weaken Calvate while still staying ahead. See, this is the situation right now. Because of that Frost setup in the back, and that Rainfarn Roach Cahir combo, Freddy is ahead of Azrakov, 1 card over him. That just feels awful. That's horrible for him.
On top of the fact that it was already favored in the first place. That just makes it so much worse. And I feel like we've been seeing this a lot in the tournament. Bad situations getting worse for some players that maybe could have had an out or could have had a possibility to fight back. It just gets worse and worse here. Also, Azrakov did have a bit of bad luck at the beginning of this game.
Sentry buffing the sentries, that's a first. That's not something you tend to see.
That is
more
that,
sentries
that
than
is,
slave infantries are there.
Might be a pro first, for sure.
As I'm gonna drop the Maca mail here. Is it enough? Wait, okay, barely enough, yeah.
Just enough. Just enough.
No, but if Freddy passes here, yeah,
oh, right,
it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. The Frost ticks. Oh my God, he's going down. He's going down 3 cards.
This is not what Azrakov wants.
He's going down 3. Oh, this is.
What were the other options there outside of the Mahaka Mail? I'll be honest, I was just adjusting my earpiece here. What? I mean, I think in that situation there, I look at Atrakov's face. He knows that things have not been smooth.
Stop it! He's already dead. It reminds me of like that Simpsons gift.
Yeah.
Oh God.
A classic, to be sure. Simpsons
Feels
classic
Adzakov.
episodes living on in GIF form.
Feels Adzakov, man.
Twitter.
Oh, boy.
There's the martyrdom we were talking about earlier. Look at this. Look at this situation here. 7 cards to 4. Adzakov with a handful of stuff that he probably does not want to play right now. Unless he honestly thinks that there's some sort of combination that gets
he has
him.
so much power in hand. The problem is, he has so few cards as well.
I mean, you have that power. You just try to get one more card in your hand, bleed one more tiny option out of Freddy. There's a chance if Adzakov salvages this. That's amazing.
I mean, if he wins this game, I think I'll become a servant of the Church of Adzakov here, because I will convert to whatever he preaches, because it will be quite the ordeal. It will be quite the accomplishment. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's something that Game King said when we got into the elevator to get things started off today. We were heading over to the studio. As soon as I walked in the elevator, he's just like, "You ready to see a miracle?" Because he knew that these matchups did definitely create some favors here. But as far as a miracle, this would be the miracle, Game King, that I would be interested in seeing.
Can this Swears do anything valuable here? It can target.
A bit of bloodletting.
Maybe it can disrupt something. But the problem is if Swears becomes if Swears puts Freddy in an awkward spot, he always has a Zir to just fix it.
Yeah, and I don't really know if there's an awkward spot that can be put here. He has one of the slave infantries in his hand. Already.
There's the ghoul.
His ointments haven't been burned.
This ghoul is actually. Wait, he's going to use Ikimara instead to deny sentry value.
Everything you can do, make sure you grab the doomed copy there, not actually going to the graveyard.
Adzakov 1 point over Freddy, 2 cards down. Oh boy.
Freddy Babe's just doing his setup as soldiers do, being able to bring back those slave infantries and just create massive sentry plays.
All right, here comes the semi-thick Calvate.
It did get hit a little bit with the Mardrum. Finally, a Viper Witcher with no good target, of course. The ointment pulls a Vukovar. I mean, there's not a lot of alchemy left for the novice to pull here. Does he just?
I guess he just thins here as much as he can.
He does still have enough.
Oh, that buff on the Kahir is not what he wants to see. That weakens his Vigorforce play here. He wanted that buff to go onto the Roach.
Wow, we talked about the game where you said what went wrong for Adzakov here, and it was nothing. Now we can talk about what went wrong for Adzakov here in this game. I don't know if I'd say everything.
I mean, I'd say going on blue against the Soldiers deck and having your initial play be worth 2 points. Kinda bad.
Yeah. But the thing is, you know what? If it's gonna be a bad matchup, get all your bad luck out of the way, right? That's how luck works. Just you spend it like money, and Adzakov is spending his bad luck right now. So he's gonna, it's a rough matchup anyway. Let's go in. We may be going to the next game here, quite soon.
So Freddy has what is Freddy? Freddy has Dagon left after this, right?
Freddy still has to win with Dagon and Deathwish, which will probably be his weakest lineup.
Yeah.
Just just in general, but also still though, it is still a weather deck, and he will be probably going up against Alchemy. Again, we're not getting ahead of ourselves, but we are starting to arrive at a conclusion that 2 cards are good.
Yeah.
Asir coming in to
I shall do as you command.
reactivate potentially Village Forts into an ointment situation here after Joachim. There's the target. There's the target that the Viper Witcher needed to get value. I mean, look, the point disparity. I mean, Swears represents.
Yeah, but there's this card called Sentry.
Yeah, and it's worth.
And I've heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's 24 at the moment.
I heard it's pretty solid.
There's novice and to recruit into the aforementioned Sentry. And now the gap is but a crack in the pavement. Nothing to pull. Sentry in hand. 1 card unspent by Freddy as he takes the 3rd game of the finals here in Gwent Open number 7. Adzakov with his back against the wall here, looking for his first title against the 2-time Gwent Masters chap, 3-time if you count Gwent Slam. champ, who is making his first appearance since Gwent Challenger number 3.
Freddy Babes here with a very dominant performance with his John Calvate. Despite Azakov's initial lead with the Sabbath, he is now, as you said, with his back against the wall. He is one loss away from losing this finals, and it comes down to him being able to defeat Freddy's Dagon. It could be his weak link. And we see Azakov opted to go with Ethne first.
This seems to make the most sense because I think Ethne will really benefit from controlling what Freddy's able to do with his Death Wish units if he wants to, especially considering that there's going to be a lot of boosted units as well. So having things like artifact compression, which he has access to, to everything now with Nature's Gift as well. So it's possible that Azakov can sees some key opportunities to deny value, but the weather is going to be tough because he just doesn't have Ida.
I think the reason Azakov is going with this deck is because he's going on red, and I think this deck is actually the weakest against this Dagon, but it has the best chance out of the two. I mean, I think it has the better chance. It needs the help from the red coin basically, which is why Azakov is opting to go with this, and he's preserving alchemy for last. I think that's his reasoning here. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out here. Cyclops can answer the Farseers if he has like a big, thick target to hit, because otherwise Farseer's base strength is a little bit too high.
The Cockatrice could be a huge thing as well. The Cockatrice and Mandrake running into those sentries late game. If Freddy Babes is able to get things going here, as Freddy Babes is just immediately going to put a Dow in the graveyard and get that extra. The 15-point play with the She-Troll of Vergen. Not the most popular card in competitive Gwent, but I think that the plays with Dow and with Rotfiend have always been pretty strong. A pretty fair inclusion. I believe we've seen some lists in the past that actually run marching orders to secure She-Troll as well, just because it activates Brewis if you need to use her early. It also makes sure that you have something in the graveyard if you need to use Slizzard early as well. So I'm a big fan of She-Troll personally. You know, as we're saying goodbye to some of our favorite cards, I think She-Troll in this matchup might be one of my favorites. Although I do love the Spell-a-Tell list, I really do. And shout out to Tailbot's list a couple of tournaments ago where he had the Operator on the Sentry. That was a tight list.
All right, we see Tristalagnesis onto Farseer on the melee row.
Still has Azul's double cross. Oh,
no Dull Blast on a Sentry in his hand, so these Farseers are not going to receive buffs. This is really important for Freddy here. That really slows him down. It also leaves them vulnerable to removal as well, and he's going to go for it. He's going to go Cyclops onto the Arcaspore and knock that Farseer out.
He can't Elzer's double cross. He only has the 2 Farseers.
Oh, that's super key right there.
So he can't get, at this point, the Cyclops into Cyclops, which is a possibility, would be able to solve a boosted.
Let's enjoy the
and maybe Freddy's thinking about, Azakov's thinking about, you know, the removal potential here. Can I get a Farseer to stick long enough that I can at least get a bit of Mahakamail or a Swallow Potion in there? Or Mahakamail is the, we just got out an alchemy matchup. Mahakamail being the spell that needs to help out the Farseer. Because it is the only way of generating the boosts on top of that. You get the Farseer, at least you have a way of playing the Ale. You would probably find something with Last Wish. The Sages will be able to double up on the Ale. Freddy Babe's just going to pass right here.
Ooh. Okay.
Azakov.
Trying to find his pass. He knows. Okay, so Freddy knows that there's no threat of I like this pass a lot. He knows Azakov is not playing Yavin. So this is his way to turn the coin around and be like, hey, you have 2 options. You either try to push and risk the chance of losing a card from me for round 3, or you dry pass and face me in a long round when I still have my Dagon and my weather resources intact.
And we're not even talking about the Cockatrice now. At this point, Freddy's like, okay, go on. What can you do in a long round that I can't answer with my Cockatrice, that I can't answer with my Mandrake, that I can't create tempo with the 2 Griffins and the Dow I have available? I've got Death Wish units in the pocket here for Brewis Ritual. Really, Freddy Babes has just a lot of tools available here. I'm interested to know if Azakov will mulligan away the Farseer to activate Alzur's Double Cross on it, so it's just a little bit more resilient because those Cyclopses are a threat.
That plays makes sense, unless you top deck a Mahakamail, then, you know, things change. Okay, he does get a Sentry in his hand.
That'll help him out a bit. Very
important. And we're going to see here, what will he do?
He kept the Farseer.
He has to play into this round.
The Alzurs will cover off the Sentry now.
He has to play into this round, and Freddy's just going to immediately set up the weather there. Oh, no, actually, no, never mind.
He's just get rid of the threat entirely.
Of course. He's just going to zap it, obviously. Like, that's the second engine dealt with. There's only one Farseer which remains for the Azakov. I think we are going to see...
No, there's only 2 Farseers in Azakov's list. That's the problem. That's why Alzur's double cross was never really available. This pulls a sentry. Yeah.
Well, that's kind of ripped then.
I mean, the cockatrice right here is already...
And the Mandrake, and the fact that he has weather.
It's already 15 points. Like,
that pass from Freddy just put Azakov in an awful spot.
Oh man, Azakov is at this point, yeah, now you have a hard time getting your card back, especially because the cockatrice and the Mandrake just get better and better over time. Back against the wall here, Azakov once again maybe in a card down situation, which could make the difference.
Azakov hovering over the last switch, getting the Icing Rim Outlaw here. He's gonna have to play a, okay.
Then everything you can, try to find another sentry perhaps. Mercenary's going to get at least the Mahakamail flowing.
Mahakamail, yeah, he needs tempo here.
Aglaze is active on the Thunder now as well because of Vadermaker playing it and putting it into Freddy's graveyard, so Aglaze will have a target. In an otherwise...
This cockatrice.
Yeah.
This cockatrice is nuts.
And you know, just one extra thing that's so good about the cockatrice is not a spell, so Aglaze can't really turn it around.
Yeah.
So really, I mean, the Thunder is probably going to be one of the best options here.
We're getting going for the, oh wow.
Got the Ancient Fog let off the Black Blood.
Wow.
Yes.
Or sorry about that.
No, out of the Monster's Nest.
Monster Nest.
Yeah, he plays the Ancient Fog. This is looking really good for Freddy here. Freddy just needs to ensure that he stays ahead. Mandrake is completely reasonable here.
Yep, that's one problem
15-point Mandrake
solved.
just enables him to stay ahead here. Like, the thing is, you may ask, why didn't he go for Cockatrice there? The reason is he wants to eliminate it. Like, Cockatrice will reset the unit so that Double Blast and Sentry can keep on growing. So Cockatrice is better as the last answer card. It's probably going to be his last play this game. Azakov getting 8 points ahead of Freddy, not nearly enough, as Freddy is barely going to be able to get that Dow in, actually. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and that's a card you always want to look for time to afford to play it, because the Dow is extremely
that's huge.
If you're not playing it with Mailorn or some other tutor that helps you out, like Triss, being able to play that in a situation where you have 2 Griffins. Now, at this point, the Griffins become 18-point plays.
That's massive for Freddy. Like, the fact that he was able to get, because otherwise it could get awkward with him, with considering his hand with double Griffin. Oh, the fact that he was able to get that Dow in, sneak it in, and still stay ahead is of utmost importance here. We see can he afford an artifact compression here?
When I say 18-point play, I am counting the tick on the Ancient Fog, but conveniently forgetting about the Fog. So really, 20-point plays, if you're counting all the passive effects that Freddy Babes has going for it. 20 points in each Griffin, Cockatrice solving a sentry, Brewis Ritual is active, there are Archospores and Dows in the graveyard, and a Reconnaissance just for good measure, in case you need to get anything else out of your deck or play something.
Clock is ticking. Oh, okay.
Running out of options here. Azakov looking for any way to force Freddy. But look at these. Now the Griffins are just going to rain terror.
These Griffins are too powerful. Too powerful here. Azakov is 7 points behind.
There's
he
the pass.
passes.
His face says it all.
I mean, he has power in his hand. But the thing is, his entry's countered by a bronze card, which just feels really, really bad.
Brewis bringing back those Death Wish units. Griffin available as well. Slizzard into Griffin, I believe. There are 3 Griffins.
There's no reason for Freddy to, like, risk anything here. I think
there are 3 Griffins. His only 3 out, actually. So he can Slizzard a Griffin onto any of these Death Wish units, play the other Griffin from hand, solve the problem of the Sentry with the Cockatrice. Mogwai, I think we may be casting our last game of the year, I think. It could honestly be Freddy Babes' golden game.
And we'll get another official Gwent title under his belt. Freddy Babes just establishing dominance, being so close to losing and being eliminated from the tournament in the semifinals against Radu. And
Let's go play-by-play. Let's savor this, Mogwai. Let's go play-by-play here. See what options Azakov actually has there. Iflin does represent a huge swing, unfortunately, when you have to go and hit, when your only options are Death Wish units. And you...
I still think you go for it. I still think he doubles up the Archospores here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not good. It's just not great. I mean, you're taking value away from a card that really has only been able to get value from one last... Yeah. Like, look at all the things that Iflin can pull. There's only been, over all the course of Vintage Gwent, Iflin has been changed so much that Thunder is realistically the only thing that you play anymore. And even here, she is hurt
it just
very
feels
badly.
bad. I mean, it can hit, like, one of them can hit Iflin, so it loses 4. It only goes 2 value on it, but then...
If we are following silver linings, I'm absolutely with there with Mogwai. Absolutely. That's a negative play. It's hard to make that choice, but you know, with the threat of Griffin, 2 Griffins here, if the Slizzard is found, with the recon.
Griffin for 17 points on to the Dow.
There's just a Thunder
Freddy
here for
is
Aglace. At least he has a
12 points
target for
ahead.
it. Oh, Monster Nest as well. Oh man, actually, everything's in there.
Freddy's 12 points ahead here. It's looking grim, but he does like that cockatrice.
He shuts down. He could shut down the Dow with Aglace, can he not? Although you'd think that he would have done that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he could have done that, couldn't he?
Is the Mandrake not in there?
Wait.
I thought I
Yeah, he missed. Yeah, he realizes now.
Yes, exactly. Because the Mandrake was used on the. Yes. Oh, you're seeing it now. We're all kind of. It's all clicking at this point. It's all clicking.
Oh, no.
It was available to him to prevent. I mean, this is still going to get him some value because we know that. We don't know it's going to be Slizzard, but I mean, the damage is done by the Griffin at this point. The Cockatrice, the Recon, just to see what we're going to get. It looks like the Slizzard isn't going to get there anyway.
That's just
Obviously,
11.
Yeah. This will maybe just one little baby ping here on Aglace.
Only an 8-point lead, like that. Okay, so that Cockatrice is representing a lot of value, but this, what does his Ethne do here?
Is there still a sentry in? There's 2 cards left.
No,
were we wrong this whole time, Mogwai?
Wait. No, I think he played it earlier, right?
There is.
Wait. No, wait.
He played one. It was deleted. One was deleted.
Wait.
One was banished.
Wait a second.
He has Alzur's. 2 cards left in the deck.
Wait a second.
Marching Orders is one of them, which is not what you want. Is there an out here for Hadzikov?
I respect nothing human.
I was convinced that no, it seems he has it. Yeah, he has one more. Yeah, there it is. Oh, that is a thick fella, but this Cockatrice seals the deal.
It's so many points.
Cockatrice for the win. Freddie Babes is the vintage.
The vintage Gwent champion.
Open 7 number champion, 3-1 victory over Hadzikov. Cockatrice, the last card we're gonna cast.